They were talking about the probability of Yellowstone Park exploding.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of, but everybody brings
Have
up
you seen that one? Maybe you haven't. This is adorable.
It cracks me up when they bring up your name though, because like, I
Yeah.
wonder what Sean Rule said. I wonder what Sean Rule said.
The first thing I laughed. So there's this video. There's a viral video out. You can go check it out later if you want. Of a bunch of bison or buffalo in Yellowstone mass exiting the park. Mass exodus of bison. It's like, holy crap, I wonder if that's like, so I watched the video, it's like 15 of them running down the road at like a leisurely gait. We call it a mass exodus. There's like thousands of buffalo in Yellowstone. There's 15 of them going down the road.
They said it's
So-
down 45% though.
They said what?
The bison population is down 25%.
Well, that's a different, I mean, maybe. I don't know about that. These with it leaving
The one
Yellowstone.
thing you're talking about.
So anyway, I looked at it, and the claim is that the supervolcano that's sitting under Yellowstone, that's pretty amazing. You think about it. You think about how big that region of Yellowstone is. And everybody been to Yellowstone National Park? It's gorgeous.
I watched it.
It's huge, too. And it's just this crazy, not seismically, but geothermically active, I guess seismically too, active area. And the claim is that it's going to blow any second now, and I don't know where that claim came from. It sounds like it's all from that video.
No, there's quite a few. There's other ones of like elk running away and rabbit. There's
It's also spring and mating season starting.
Yeah, I just thought it was.
They're not really running away, they're just running.
There was like a National
Dude, she's so
Geographic or
Say that again.
pretty good. There was a pretty good documentary done not that long ago that's on Netflix actually about the Yellowstone volcano.
Oh, yeah.
The probability and how it's behind. So I
It's
think
going to happen in like 10,000 years.
I just
It's going to
think
happen.
people probably
Just not like June.
related, like maybe that show.
I think it's adorable. I think it's case in point of the internet hurting instead of helping dispersal of information, because it doesn't take much for one video as this one. I mean, it was so amazing because I kept waiting for like the stampede of bison in this video. I'm like, it's a dude driving down the road with his camera up, and there's like 2 and then 5 and then 10. I'm like, they're just like trotting along, having a good time. They're not mass exiting anything. Although the problem is that there's fact embedded in that, because animals do that before natural disasters.
Yeah.
Before that crazy, what was the one in 06?
Some kind of an earthquake thing.
What was the one in 06? The tsunami, Southeast Asia. I mean, animals totally fled to higher ground for that. Animals do have instincts. It's been well documented that animals have instincts of self-preservation when they can pick up things we can't.
But you'd be
Well,
seeing
most
a
of they're out
whole
in nature.
Right, and I mean, say that again?
So then they're out in nature more like that.
Oh, more too. Right, we're too busy sitting in discs. So yeah, at any rate, that was, I thought that was
It
interesting.
was just hilarious to
Yeah.
see your name pop up.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
It's- I've become known as this like universal cynic, and it's funny because all I do is I hear a claim, I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and then I go research the claim. And most of the time, when stuff pops up online like that, it's usually full of crap. I mean, that's generally what happens. It's usually wrong. Or it's so black and white with no shades of gray.
yeah.
Oh, you're telling me it's not going to erupt in Yellowstone? I'm like, no, I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you it's not going to happen in this year. There's almost no chance of it happening this particular year. My son even said something about that the other day. This weekend, he's 6, but he was talking about something. And he's like, well, that can't happen. I'm like, well, it could happen, buddy. It's just probably not going to. He's like, well, that's what I meant. Okay, let's start saying things right then. It's going to ruin him too, the poor little guy. Sorry,
I
buddy.
mean, yeah, because they don't know for sure when or whatever.
Well, of course, but I mean, there's indicators, like, and so when you guys were at Yellowstone, did you watch Old Faithful? I'm sure you did. That's the big one, right? But the thing is, it's not the biggest one. There are bigger geysers there. There's one called Texas Geyser. Of course, that one's bigger, right? And that's actually, I think it's like 3 or 4 times taller than Old Faithful. So why do you go to Old Faithful? Other than the obvious reason that there's a parking lot built right next to it, and there's a hotel built right next to it. Why do you go to Old Faithful if it's not the biggest?
Because she always squirts at the same amount of time like she's supposed
But there are
to.
other geysers in Yellowstone that squirt more quickly. There's one called Minute Geyser, or Minute Geyser. It's either Minute or Minute, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's this big, and it goes off like every 60 seconds. Like literally, there it is, and then it's gone. Then you wait a minute, pops again. So why would you, it's like 90 minutes between Old Faithful eruptions. So why would you wait 90 minutes for an Old Faithful eruption if you can go to, oh, there it is, oh, there it is again. I mean, a little tiny one. Why not just go to that one? Because it's big. Because it is, we're Americans, it is a large eruption. It's worth waiting for because how exciting is a geyser that looks like a drinking fountain?
Well,
Not very, right?
Why do we still not know the biggest one then?
Because it goes off sporadically. The big one, the Texas Guy, I think it's called the Texas Geyser. I could be wrong about that. It's been like 15 years since I've been there. It'll go off like once, and then like 14 years later it'll happen again.
Oh.
And then it'll go off like 3 days after that 14-year eruption, and then it'll be dormant for 5 more years. Like nobody can ever, you have to be in the park at the right time to see it go off.
Oh.
So Old Faithful's like this perfect balance of like, it's big,
Big and.
not the biggest, but it's big, and it's not the most regular, but it's regular enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to kind of be around. And then there's a whole part of Yellowstone that's not related to the volcanoes, or not related to the geysers, but the pools. If you're in the Old Faithful areas, like the Morning Glory pool, these beautiful, beautiful, like pseudo-crystalline looking water features. So it's interesting to me that I guess we get tired of this natural beauty we're surrounded by to make up stories about Yellowstone's going to blow up. I would imagine Crater Lake would blow up first.
Really?
Although it can't, it's extinct.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. South Sister, though. This is an interesting one. This is a fun one. South Sister has a bulge on it, facing the west, facing west. It's very active, very much an active volcano. Bachelor's active, too. Anybody ever skied down Bachelor and found the little fumaroles? Early season, usually. There's the little steam vents popping out of the middle of Mount Bachelor. Usually off the northwest side, I think there's a bunch over there. South Sister has a bulge that's growing something like, if I can get the data, we'll do it in this class. We'll analyze it in this class. It's growing something like 5 cubic feet per minute or something ridiculously fast. Let me send myself an email real quick. I'll try to track down this data. It's called the South Sister Bulge. A couple of you have ever heard of it. I saw some nods back there. And it's actually growing fairly, like, quickly. New email. We do the South Sister Bulge. That might actually fit into something we're going to do in a couple of weeks.
So.
So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff like that, in my opinion, is way more of an imminent geologic event than Yellowstone. But it's interesting. It's almost like we've gotten tired of this. So it begs the question, how did we hear about Yellowstone blowing up? Because somebody had a cell phone that took a quick video of a bunch of buffalo running down the road. That's the only thing that precipitated all of this. There are theories of it going to blow up. It's going to blow up. Of course it is. Every volcano will eventually erupt. But it won't happen in our lifetime or even our kids' lifetimes. That's why you talk to the geologist. And when you start reading the article about countering the video, it gets very boring very quickly as an American because you're like, oh, 10,000 years from now. We have no real recollection or no real appreciation of what 10,000 years is. But that's interesting. So it's all about data. It's all about being able to go get data and think about data in a kind of an intelligent way rather than just seeing a video and taking a conclusion from it. How many of you have seen the buffalo running down the road video that we're talking about here? Right. Does anybody else think the same thing? They're just out for a trot. If you've ever seen a buffalo run at full speed, it is freaking terrifying. I was in Boy Scouts, this is half my life ago, more than half my life ago now. And we were crossing a field at Valley Forge Park, which is out at the site of a terrible, terrible battle in the Revolutionary War. And there's a field separating us from where we needed to go, and it was separated. It had it looked like an electrified fence around it, and we're thinking, maybe just walk across. We looked over, saw these big buffalo. And if you've ever seen a buffalo, I mean, they're pretty big, but they look lumbering and slow. And these huge heads that are like this big with little horns and big beards. And I'm like, man, we just walk across. They're not going to bother us. And no sooner had we said that, they all broke into a run right towards us. They can run at 30 miles an hour. Like, they can get to 30 miles an hour very quickly and stay there for a while. And they stopped right before the fence, and then all of them peed at the exact same time. That was one of the scariest I've ever been in my life, seeing these things. Imagine a big, hairy cow, a flock of them, herd of them, running towards you at full speed. So, I've seen them run full speed, and when I saw that video, I'm like, they're just like trotting. They're just having a good time. And why wouldn't they run on the road? The road's flat, it's hard packed. Why not run on the road? Rather than running on the dirt, which is harder to run in, especially early season when it's all wet. So that's the things I think about. I'm like, duh. I mean, I was in Yellowstone. I saw them doing that. I also saw tourists. Don't do this, by the way. Getting out of their car and trying to play with the cute little cows. People get out of their cars all the time in Yellowstone, and they think, just like we did when I was 14 years old, it's a big brown cow. Big brown cows, they're happy. Don't touch a buffalo, get anywhere near it. Especially the kids, the little babies. Don't do that, because they will play with him. The parrot will kill you while you're doing it. YouTube world, thank me later. Woo! There we go, there's some data analysis for you. So anyway, here we are.